It's Rachel and John, and it's late night. Episode, 63, I think it is.
Something
Not
like
that it
that.
really matters
Lots of
because we're just rolling. We're at 5 Foster Plaza on a Friday evening, 5 to 6. We always have some treats and some cocktails or some drinks, and we would like to invite you to come down here to 5 Foster Plaza any Friday around 5 o'clock and watch all the very organized chaos that goes on here.
There you go. And if you've not seen or heard of us before, the term Jagoff is a term of endearment. So we make sure all good Pittsburgh things and happenings and events and people all fall under one umbrella, and we make sure we point them out. However, we do point out Jags every once in a while. Well, every day with a blog post, except for this week because we have been under construction. We deemed it necessary to have a little sprucing up of our website, and so it was an excuse for us to not have blog posts.
Right.
We still did our Where Ya Ats and our Jeet Jets and all that kind of stuff, but we did not write any of our blogs.
And it's all still there. It's just that we don't want to add to it because it adds work on the back end for the folks.
Dan told us to stop.
Said don't write any
That's
blogs.
basically
But in
what
the
happened.
meantime, we did post a blog. Again, we got a makeover. We always go to the Zazu Salon and what do they call it? Salon and
Skin Center.
Yeah. But anyways, Emilio
Just
and
put
Madison
one- I
take
think
good
I made
care
that
of
up.
us. We really
Yeah.
appreciate that because this doesn't happen on its own.
Oh my gosh, when did John start doing that? And I will boast of my own because today we ended up at the airport because we were invited by Rachel Carlson. Shout out to her. Thank you so much. The traditional media went, I think, 2 weeks ago, and they asked non-traditional media to go today and just kind of tour around and see it, and completely blown away. We have to go back and just see each progression piece because it's great.
I love the fact that we learned that the architect, who is the overall architect, stayed in Pittsburgh for a while and determined that the woods and the trees, the hills and the constellations are all part of what makes us Pittsburgh, and they're implementing that into the new airport such that you'll see that there are pillars that are tree branches and trunks. And found out today, not one of them are the same.
Look at you getting your side information.
They said it's a very difficult construction project because it's not like you're putting five of the same columns up there, all different shapes.
I didn't want to bring that part up because we do some work for Modular International and our boss is in the room and she's going to say, how come our lighting wasn't in there? And I wasn't prepared to answer that question.
Yikes.
So let's move along.
No, they're
but
using
the airport's
sunlight, moonlight.
Yeah. The airport's doing a fantastic job and it was a great experience. So if you have a chance, they actually are doing tours. You should go check it out and see what it's like. Jeff Martinelli is doing a great job there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we told you at the very, very beginning that we are starting this new thing. We've always had the 5 to 6 o'clock happy hour. We've had drinks and things like that, but we thought we'd love to showcase small businesses. We love to showcase the people who are the fabric of Pittsburgh. And why not start with my neighborhood? So Amber from the Cakery, which is right there, nestled across from, it's next to a tattoo place and the fire department.
Yes.
On Perry Highway, yeah. How about me, Center? My kids went to school there, but anyway, across from Westview Elementary. And so welcome. This is your third time on the podcast.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me back.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you said you were bringing sweets, so we were you are in for this. So you didn't just bring sweets. We thought maybe you'll bring a dozen of chocolate chips or something of that nature. Groundhog Day is coming, so maybe it's going to be some kind of theme. No, look at this. Explain this tray.
So this is for Valentine's Day. This is one of our cookie boards. And what's different about it is that you have the mini cookies around and then you have the icing to dip them into.
It's encouraging.
Or just eat the icing.
I mean, you can't just eat the icing. It's yours. You can do whatever you want.
If you're that person that used to snatch your mom's icing and not lick the icing off the cookies, well, this is for you because, that's it. For those listening to the audio portion, again, you have a circular tray here, and it's cookies all around the perimeter, and then there's this really cool icing decorated heart, white and red for Valentine's Day, which is dipping.
Yellow.
It's good for dipping, which is super cool.
It is good for dipping. You can choose what kind of cookies you want on there. We're doing, of course, this one for Valentine's Day with the heart, but we can also do footballs for the Super Bowl, for
big game,
eggs for Easter, and we're going to have them for pretty much every holiday.
Is this trending? Did you see this on Pinterest, or did somebody ask you to create one, and it sort of was the impetus to do it? Or
there we go. Actually, a friend of mine asked me about it last year, and I thought, oh my gosh, we can't do one more thing this Christmas season. However, this year we were ready for it. So
Okay.
Now, the cool thing is there are some rules of engagement with this. It's okay to take your cookie, dip it into the icing, bite the cookie, but you're a jag if you double dip.
Absolute jag if you double dip.
Yeah.
Can't do
Okay.
that.
So do you want me to talk while you eat clearly? Yeah. Notice that John did not pass the tray to the right. He was like, this is the tray. I'm going to describe it, and then I'm about to eat. So tell us a little bit about the Cakery while John's chewing.
So the Cakery is actually about to start our 5th year in our current location.
Yeah.
So that's exciting all in itself.
The first time we had you on was at the Music Note in Ben Avon, I
Yes.
believe. And
Yes.
you had only been around for like a year.
Yep.
How about that?
Yeah.
Look at you, little 5-year-old. That's so cute.
It is exciting.
And what is your specialty there?
So I don't really know that we have one specialty. One of our most popular cakes is our chocolate cake. Probably overall, though, it's our icing. Our icing is everything that we make from scratch.
Yes.
So all of our cookies, our icing, our fillings, it's all from scratch, which is extremely important to me. Even with the price of eggs right now, I refuse to go to a boxed mix or an egg mix. That's just not.
Now,
Not
what's
okay.
the rush for your bakery? Some bakeries are in the middle of a town and people are running in to get baked goods to go to work. Sometimes it's afterwards. Sometimes it's the weekend. What's your sort of rush hour?
Ours is definitely the weekend.
Yeah.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that's whenever everybody starts to want it. I think they're tired. Their week is just about over and they want something good to end it with.
And you also have like gluten-free.
I was just
We
gonna
do.
say, yeah.
So and it's kind of mixed, right? So it's our keto diabetic line. So it is sugar-free, it is gluten-free, it is wheat-free. We use almond flour, coconut flour, monk fruit, liquid stevia to sweeten. So it's good for a lot.
Sorry, I was in the middle of videoing because I just wanted to make sure I could post that because I have since gone to gluten-free-ish. I still stay on the ish side because it's so much. It's so hard to kind of figure out what you can and can't have.
Yep, there's
Clearly,
a lot.
sweets and sugar are not in that category, but it is so true. And the fact that you are this little place that has so much opportunity is really big for a community like Westview.
It is, and it's so nice too because we have a lot of regulars that come in. We had a gentleman who used to come in all the time, and he would get slices of cake for his family, and he would just drop them off to them. They'd come home from work, and there would be cake on the table. He has since passed away, but his grandson now comes in and gets a slice
That
of
is
cake.
such a
Like
cute-
it's things like that. It's those little relationships that you get in the neighborhood that you wouldn't have,
That's
at a big
right.
box store.
I love that.
Wow.
All right.
So-
Tell everybody, where can they find you, follow you, stop in and get some things?
Absolutely. So we are located in Westview at 479 Perry Highway. Like Rachel said, right across from Westview Elementary School.
I explained it so well.
You
in my
did.
neighborhood.
Parking can be a little tricky sometimes, but we work with it. We do recommend ordering ahead because, as I said, we do make everything fresh. So we're not going to have cakes sitting in a freezer or just sitting in the back hanging out. We make it fresh.
Love that. And social media, did you say that?
You can go to our website, which is thecakerypgh.com. You can also find us on Facebook. Instagram, under the same name, Cakery PGH.
Easy enough. Thank you so much. We might have to call on you again. We may need another
Definitely.
tray. It's one of
Right.
those things where it's like, what do you need a tray for? Well, you got to call Amber.
Yeah. What don't you need a tray for?
What don't you need a
is
tray
what-
for?
Yeah.
So we're glad that you're with us tonight on your Jagoff Late Night. We have some great guests. We always talk about how Tracy does a really good job of theming, sometimes without even within her control. She just themes a really good podcast. She's done that before. We're really excited because we're bringing back Colin Williams. He is a writer for the City Paper, and he has some pretty big news to share and explain to us that there's more to writing than just for newspapers and publications. So we're going to learn a little bit about that.
Yeah. And Tim Schooley for the Pittsburgh Business Times finally wrangled him in to come on the podcast.
It was a lot. We tripped him.
And Tom
Pulled
Kurlander,
him.
who has been on our podcast, as you said, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And finally, we have a real studio because we were in somebody's living room the last time.
There you go. That was enticing.
Yes.
Stay with us.
Actually, almost a bedroom.
On your Jagoff Late Night. Excellent. Thank you. Mancini's Bakery, 97 years in business and still getting better. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That's where you will see various Pittsburgh personalities like Gretchen McKay, Super Bowl MVP Santonio Holmes, KDKA's own Mary Hours, and WPXI's Jenna Harner, learning how to make the famous Italian twist bread. Follow Mancini Bakery on Instagram and Facebook, and remember to ask for Mancini's. PittsburghUsedCars.com, with hundreds of used cars across 8 dealerships throughout the city. We provide the greater Pittsburgh area with a premium used car buying experience. Looking for unbeatable pricing on some of the best used cars in Pittsburgh? Visit Pittsburgh Used Cars Clearance Zone today. We're providing out-the-door pricing on all of our clearance zone inventory. PittsburghUsedCars.com.
It's Rachel and John Late Night, and we're welcoming back to our podcast Colin Williams from the City Paper, but we have a different title today because Perspective Under Review Author is what's going to happen here. But
wow.
Colin, you've been on the podcast with us different times, and this would be the first time we've been in, like, let's see, what were the other scenarios? Would you have it at somebody's house? Did we have it at a porch podcast?
We went to
Brewery that
Grandpa
is no
Joe's
longer.
Candy. We
Yes.
had, Necromancer Brewing, R.I.P.
Were you with us when we went to over on the north side, the cider house or something like that, when we had the barrels?
I don't know if I went to that one, but that sounds like a great
I thought
location.
that was in your rider that we had to be in drinking location.
It would be if I had a rider.
There you go.
So let's orient everybody to you a little bit. At the City Paper, you do what?
So I'm the news editor at City Paper. So my job, in addition to writing stories, is really just editing everything that's in our news vertical. So all the Pittsburgh news that's fit to print, both in our print publication and online. Really everything that's just like hard news, science, health, politics, that kind of thing.
Okay. And go ahead. Oh,
No,
sorry.
you're
No, I
fine.
didn't know if you were still eating. You were behind me. Go ahead.
I'm done eating. That was tactful. Can we just point out that John was like, wasn't sure if you were done eating. I was
Colin, I never do anything
Such a
right.
gentleman.
Yes.
such a gentleman. He is a gentleman. Just kidding. So you transitioned a bit from your writing to do something else. And what was that? Biggest question is, you were writing a book. So the biggest question I have is, what is the biggest difference? And I have a feeling that you could go on for a half an hour about that.
So I actually come to journalism from a creative writing background. So I studied creative writing and have been doing this kind of in the background for a long time. But there's just so much that's different about kind of especially when you're creating essentially an imaginary world. When I'm writing stuff for City Paper, there's a lot of fact checking, there's a lot of research that goes into stuff, and there is that on the fiction side of things and sometimes the poetry side of things as well. But when you're writing creatively, the world is kind of your oyster, and one of the things that I really love about writing fiction is that it not only gives me an opportunity to kind of do that research that I love doing for the news, but an opportunity to just sort of imagine what if in a really big picture kind of way. So this book is a novel. It actually started out as my master's thesis when I was doing an MFA in creative writing, and I've since written and rewritten, I think, 7 drafts of this. So the 7th draft I've been sending out now for a couple of years, and am starting to get a little bit of recognition for that.
And what is that recognition? We have to prepare everybody that this is an award that you're under review, but Yinzers, we can't swing our terrible towels and kind of, get everybody to vote for you online or anything. This is really a peer review type thing.
Yeah, so I'm under review right now for the New American Press Fiction Prize. So their editorial staff basically reviewed a whole bunch of manuscripts, and mine came out on the top of a small heap that's now in front of Kalani Pickhart, who is the finalist judge for that contest. So I'm kind of just crossing my fingers here, and we should know in a couple weeks. And even if I don't get a publication out of this deal, it's a nice step forward that I can show to other agents and to independent presses and people like that.
So 2 things. One, Kalani sounds like a really powerful name. So like to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know who that person is, but I did this face. Because it just sounds so powerful. That's a scary, scary thing. And it's a scary, scary thing to be waiting, because you explained to us earlier how many no's have you, and not because I'm trying to point out, but it is a brutal, brutal situation.
Yeah, the literary world is very crowded. There are a lot of writers, a lot of people with big dreams, a lot of people with big books. And so this is now... if I get to yes off of this will be after about 70 no's. And I actually have a second book right now that I'm just starting to send out. And I've already gotten, I think, like 13 rejections on that one. So you can do the math. It's a game of numbers, really. And I think the writers who make it through are the writers who are the most persistent, for better or worse.
Yeah, I guess
that's a good
similar.
point.
We talked earlier this morning about it's like an actor. You have to be able to have that door shut in your face multiple times and handle that. But Colin, so for me, since I'm not the writer in the crowd here or the journalist, what happens as far as you're used to writing facts? Now you have to extend your brain. Do you have to go do something to kind of stretch your brain, or the opposite? You were writing so creatively. Now you come over here and you have to write facts. Do you learn how to write facts creatively? How does all that work?
That's a good question.
That is a really good question.
Not really good, just good. But go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to think of a sort of concise answer for you, but I will say with this particular project, it is a historical fiction piece. So it's set against a backdrop of true events. The one kind of half of the book deals with basically a terrorist attack on the American embassy in the city of Bonn in Germany in 1991 during the Gulf War. So I did a lot of research around the circumstances of that, how it was perpetrated, who was involved, and that kind of thing. So really the other side is where I kind of get to play around in the sandbox a little bit more, but you're still kind of working within a framework in that sense. It's not like I'm making up kind of a new world. It's really happening in a real place. So you kind of have to put yourself in the position of imagining what people would have done in those circumstances.
Yeah.
You know, this is in West Germany, the Berlin Wall had just fallen, the Cold War was kind of coming to an end, the Iron Curtain was crumbling. So there's a lot that's sort of happening in the background, and I really just tried to sort of put myself in that headspace. And with a lot of the events in recent years, you know, the COVID pandemic, some of the political chaos we've had, even more recently, this whole Luigi Mangione episode, there's a lot that you can kind of extrapolate from your own experiences. And the book also deals with things like love and loss and things of that nature. And that's, of course, something that we all have in common. We can all kind of relate to.
So I guess it's like you're an actor, but you're writing it, right? You have to live these parts, these multiple parts, to kind of write them out, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, you
The
have to
characters.
think about sort of where your characters might differ from you. And, you know, one of the things that I talk about when I'm teaching creative writing a lot is just kind of imagining really just universal experiences and sort of putting your spin on them. Because you can all kind of imagine what other people might be doing. And this is a chance for you to really try and dig deeper into what those experiences might feel like, even if you haven't shared them yourself.
There has to be a discipline to this, right? Just like any kind of trade, any kind of skill, craft. Is the discipline different from when you're on a deadline for writing news versus you giving yourself sort of that deadline?
You absolutely have to. And this is something
Is that a better question?
I mean, very good question,
Okay, thanks.
Rachel.
That's a
Very good
journalist
question, Rachel.
Right.
But so, I mean, with City Paper, there's stuff is time bound. So if I'm reporting on something breaking, you know, I didn't write this story, but we just wrote about inclusionary zoning this week, and that was something that there's a meeting, the story has to get out quickly.
Sure.
You're trying to kind of compete for time. In fiction, you're more playing the long game, and there is a risk that you just procrastinate. And
Sure.
one of the problems that I ran into, especially before the pandemic, when I was kind of forced to have all this time, was carving out that time for myself. So I think every writer's different. One of my professors in college was like, I get up at 5 o'clock every morning and I get on the keyboard, and that's not me. But what I do often do is, you know, after dinner or whatever, I'll sit down, sometimes have a glass of scotch, and just see if I can do 500 to 1,000 words. And I try to do that a couple times a week. And when it came to shopping out this novel too, you know, I mentioned all those rejections. To actually get those rejections, you have to send emails in the first place. So I try to make that a little bit more fun, and I'll go to a coffee shop or a brewery and just spend an hour, you know, firing off emails, maybe doing a little editing and things like that. Also corresponding with friends. I have a writer friend that I've been kind of bouncing ideas off of for this project. So I make that time to get out of the house and just go somewhere else, so it feels a little bit more special, and I'm not just sitting there and kind of working more, you know?
Yeah, good point.
Does the graduation of number of shots, get larger as you have 70? Maybe on the third one you only have one shot, but on the 35th one you're like, oh, I have a bottle.
So I'll say, I feel like there's a curve where, like, maybe a beer or two, you kind of like get a little bit more in a flow state.
Okay.
3 or 4, you're going to maybe come down the other side of that wave, and you're not, you look back and you're just like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, for sure. Colin, where can everybody find you, follow you as far as the City Paper, so that they know just what a gifted writer you are?
So you can find all our work at PGH City Paper. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. More recently, we got on Blue Sky. I think we have a TikTok presence, and we're also trying to kind of ramp up to some YouTube stuff. I've actually kind of wound down my social media, but you can find me at wimbles.bsky.social on the Blue Sky app. I may get back on Instagram, if I have a book to promote, but for now I'm just taking some time to actually do a little bit more reading.
That was a good segue. So stay tuned to find out how he does with this book. We will be keeping you updated. In the meantime, question of the day. Which one are you going with?
I say this, is since you're writing facts and fiction, Is Punxsutawney Phil fact or fiction?
Oh, that was really a good segue.
That's kind of a hard question to answer. I want to say
Sucked. That was stupid.
I want to say Punxsutawney Phil is fact in the same way that like the Greek gods are fact. Like they exist in everybody's minds, but whether or not you should trust them with everything.
That was a really good
That sounds
answer.
like me during the day,
And
right?
it's John and Rachel, your Jagoff late night.
Welcome to Fernandez. Can I take your orders?
You need a tap it?
No, we don't use this. We know how to yell the sandwich to cook. Here we go.
Dig in.
It's John and Rachel. We love to dig into iconic Pittsburgh places like Permanis. So we brought our friends from People's Gas.
Please call at least 3 business days before you dig.
It doesn't matter if it's a big project or something small like a mailbox. Always call before you dig. I called. We can dig in.
So please call 811 3 business days before excavating so you don't have to call 911.
I've been thinking that Rohrich Automotive needs a new jingle.
Rohrich Automotive got the best cars around Pittsburgh.
Driving a Rohrich, I bought it at Rohrich. Picked up my new car at Rohrich Automotive. I got friends at Rohrich Automotive where the staff is nice and the dealership's loaded with brand new cars. And you can drive real far.
Have you heard of them? Do you know what they are? I had never had one, and so we are going to spend some time in my mother-in-law's kitchen, and we're going to make some falagones.
The dough itself is kind of like a pie dough.
Yeah.
However, it's made with oil.
Oil, not shortening.
Not shortening. It's made with oil, and there's a little bit of baking powder, which is different.
Yeah.
Because pie crust, you don't have that.
So when we're talking about the falagone,
yeah,
very regional, like even
Yes.
regional to Pittsburgh, because I didn't grow up, my Italian family, we never had a falagone, or if we did, we didn't call it that, and I don't know.
right.
But it's so, what is your,
Well, my understanding is it's, again, more regional even, you know, to my mother's family. My dad's family didn't do it. My dad's family was from northern Italy,
okay,
and my mother's family was southern.
yeah.
It's John and Rachel, and one of my dreams are coming true. You know, I joke all the time that John wants to jump out of an airplane, Tracy makes it happen. John wants to do something ridiculous, Tracy makes it happen. Finally, all I ask for is some journalists who I so look up to and appreciate in this city, and finally it happens. So we get to welcome the Business Times own Tim Schooley. We're so happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we have sort of like stalked you for years, you know, obviously reading you in the Business Times, but we've always wanted to have you on to just kind of get a feel for what got you into journalism. Were you always a journalist? As Colin was just talking, he is not by trade.
Kinda, if not journalism adjacent. For a while there, for a couple of years, I was writing nonprofit junk mail.
Okay.
Which was interesting training to know how to interview. You learn kind of some empathy skills that helps you to talk to people better.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I did some freelance stuff, but yeah, I've been with the Business Times since 26 years now.
Oh, wow.
Starting when you're 4.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yes.
Close to that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of fact and creative writing. So, but your specialty at the Business Times is the local growth of business.
Real estate,
Yeah, real estate. Yeah, I mean, but you're getting that. If someone's getting ready to start a business, they're buying real estate, or I guess if investors, you know if people are even investing into the city or whether they're not, right?
Pretty often, yeah.
Yeah.
Not always. I mean, a lot of the times that kind of thing is kept under wraps, but I'll find out sooner or later, usually.
Yeah.
How do you actually find your niche as far as being a journalist? I mean, obviously, you didn't raise your hand and say, I'd like to cover real estate, right?
Can't imagine anybody necessarily would, although
I did that at the Trib. I was like, I just want to do fun fluff.
it's more interesting than I think than people realize. But I think you hang around long enough, and it's one of the most important beats at our publication. And I started out covering retail. That was my first beat, and that was the late 90s, and that was when it was shopping center development. So it was always a kind of real estate, and then eventually I just kind of graduated to covering the rest of it as well as people moved on. So it's kind of an evolutionary process, if you will.
Yeah, good point. As far as from a business standpoint, what is it about Pittsburgh in general that lends itself so well to having the Business Times be one of those publications that people go to so often? Is it the fact that we were once such a, coal town, and now here we are with so many different booming businesses?
Well, I mean, it's a city of a certain size. My company has publications like this in 40 different cities around the country. And it's always been a major corporate center. It's not as much so as it was, but there's still a lot of important companies here. There's lots of tech firms. The medical establishment is very important. The universities are. I mean, there's enough going on here that it's an important place to pay attention to and to cover. So
was it always like that, though, is sort of where I'm going. Like, I feel like, yes, it is a publication that is, certainly known in other cities, but ours has not always been up to par with all other cities.
Pittsburgh's economy has definitely had its ebbs.
Sure.
In the last 40, 50 years, and that's kind of a curious dynamic now is the region kind of learning how to figure out how to grow again, because I don't feel like it knows how to do that. And obviously the population growth isn't necessarily there. There's a lot of younger people, but I feel like any city or region of a couple million people is going to have a lot that's going to be worth covering, I think.
Sure.
And Tim, have you just looked at since you have other publications around the country that are similar, have you seen other cities similar to like a Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, who have figured it out yet that we should kind of follow? I mean, it's not always about just buying a big old department store and putting a bunch of apartments in. Like, has somebody really figured this out yet and been successful with it?
That's an interesting question for right now, because obviously there's a lot of talk about what to do about downtowns.
Yeah.
Everywhere. The former head of the Pittsburgh Sports and Exhibition Authority is now doing a similar job in Cincinnati. Cincinnati and Cleveland and Columbus, it seems like they've taken some positive steps to better implement different forms of subsidy to help rejuvenate all these old office buildings. Pittsburgh obviously has a big plan.
Yeah.
Every city's a little different. It's been an emergency enough everywhere that cities all over the place are really working hard with their state leadership to try and figure it out.
And is it like game day plans at football? Like nobody shows their plans, Cincinnati,
Isn't
we're going
that
to do this on
funny
their
how
own.
John sees things? Can we just point that out?
Yeah, or do we keep our plans secret, or we can't really tap into the others because we're really kind of competing, or no, they share plans?
I don't know. I think it's too much work to just figure it out to pay that much attention to other cities. But
I see.
But
Okay.
there's definitely policy leaders like at the Allegheny Conference that will definitely look at other cities. There's definitely research folks that look at other cities. It's just a matter of how much.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Oh, I mean, I'm close enough to retirement to fantasize about that, which would suggest not much of anything. But there's other things I like to write. I mean, I when I went to college, I took a fair amount of magazine writing and fiction writing. I like to ride my bike, just hobbies, cooking, gardening.
Yeah, the
that
usual
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from a profession standpoint, though, as Colin was talking about even writing a book. Has that ever intrigued you enough to say, I'm going to write a book about something that I'm not necessarily writing about regularly?
Yeah, I'm tinkering with some things. Nothing I can really talk about, but of course, yeah.
Okay. All right. You're tough. You are.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, this is your answer.
Like,
and now
I think you should write a fiction book about real estate. Like, yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, there's a lot of shows on Netflix about that. So
okay,
I don't know
there
that
you
you
go.
really need to
Maybe
write
you should
about
be
it.
doing one of those reality shows where you're like the kingpin of downtown Pittsburgh real estate.
I actually do think, I do think about the idea of writing a book based on all the ceremonial shoveling, groundbreaking.
Oh my god!
And all those fancy bronze shovels. And I've often thought about that as crafting that in something, but I haven't figured out how to do it yet.
This is going to be right. And along those lines, here's my question: does it ever get old that there's constantly ribbon cuttings? Can they come up with something else?
It's bizarre the way it happens. I mean, because there was a. I mean, they'll bring in dirt. I mean, there was a groundbreaking just last week, of course, and it was about 3 degrees.
Sure.
To turn a building on the Mon that's going to become senior housing, and it's a building that's there on, concrete that's been there for decades. But they had a ceremonial, wall bashing inside, but then to get photos, they had to go outside with the shovels, bring in the dirt. Yeah, it's pretty obsessive the way the way the groundbreaking thing always has to happen that way. But it's based on getting pictures for whatever.
That's the name of your book. Cut the ribbon. Right?
Yeah, Jagoff. Yes. We'll help you out. Right. Tim, where can everybody find you and follow you online and to know where to find you to read you?
Well, our website is at bizjournals.com/Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. We're all on there. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn just under my name, Tim Schooley. I'm on X or Twitter, as I still prefer to call it, at PBTTim. And I think that's about it.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Awesome. And we do have a question of the day, but did you bring us a junk drawer gift?
I brought you a junk drawer gift.
Yes!
Here we go. From journalist to journalist.
Yeah, let me see. What did you bring us? Is there a story? No.
The story is I haven't opened this drawer in probably a year and a half.
Oh, that's
fair enough. That's fair enough.
And these are old baseball cards.
Is Paul Skeens in there?
Probably the 1980s.
Okay.
Nobody that is worth enough that I wouldn't give them to you. players that are slightly better than
Sparky Anderson. Holy smokes.
Yeah. Do you really know who that is?
I do know, right?
He's a Hall of Fame.
Cincinnati. Right. He was the Cincinnati manager for a while, right?
Right.
All right. While John is looking at those, a reminder, it is John and Rachel, and it is the Jagoff Late Night. So, Tim, we do a question of the day for everybody who's on the Jagoff podcast. This inquiring minds want to know, is this whole Punxsutawney Phil thing legit or not? Are you a believer?
The same question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody gets the same one.
Don't. If it weren't real, those guys wouldn't dress up in their little tuxes and their top hats and hold up a stuffed animal.
There you go.
So, real enough for need of veterinary assistance if it comes to that.
There you go. Yeah. Tim, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time tonight. We'll be back with Tom, repeat musician on your Jagoff Late Night.
I'm Scott Baker,
Thank you.
president and founder of 5 Generation Bakers. You probably know us for our famous Jenny Lee swirl bread. We know Jenny Lee is delicious on its own, but we want to answer this question. How do you swirl with Jenny Lee?
Welcome to People's Clean Hydrogen Pilot Program. Here sits no ordinary container. It's a drop-in unit that transforms natural gas into clean, cost-effective hydrogen that could provide you with affordable, safe, and reliable energy with as few emissions as possible, removing carbon and making a product, not a pollutant. So no, it's no ordinary box. It's a powerful decarbonization tool, and just one of the ways Peoples is innovating the future of energy.
Maybe you call it Ohio River Boulevard, but in any case, did you know that it wasn't originally Route 65? And that in 1961, it was renamed for the 65th Infantry Division that fought in World War II.
Activated at Camp Shelby, Mississippi in 1943, the 65th Infantry Division was a specially created division of the U.S. Army. The division staged at Camp Shanks, New York, in preparation for deployment to France. They would go on to fight in France and Germany in 1945.
It's Rachel and John, and we are back with our music guest. We are so excited to welcome back after 5 years. We have not seen Tom Kurlander in 5 years. Tom, that doesn't mean that you are a stranger to the music scene. You have been everywhere. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. It's great to see you guys.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. We were reminiscing the last time we were with you. We were singing Bop, and now here we are in a new studio, and we get to chat with you about, you have a couple of upcoming performances. Where are you going to be?
I do. We're going to be playing with my band. It's called Pale Blue Sound. Tom Kurlander and Pale Blue Sound. We're going to be in Gibsonia at a place called Steamworks Creative.
I heard about this.
Have you heard about that?
Actually, my dad just told me about it. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I've just been reading about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a listening room. People come.
Yeah.
They bring their own BYOB, and then they actually listen.
Yeah,
that's great.
They're not worried about trying to capture on video, which you don't mind anyways, right? But
exactly.
Now, you've been doing this music thing for quite a while, and I love the fact that, the last time you were on, we were singing in somebody's living room / bedroom as we were doing one of our Fireplace tours. But your CD that you gave us, Sugar Burn Sessions, what's on this? The song, the song about your mother, is that on this CD?
Oh, there is. I have a video online now.
Yes.
A song I wrote called Be There, which is about my mother.
Yes.
Aww.
And my mom. I think if you've seen what the topic is.
Yes, exactly.
That's
but
awesome
but we capture that one. This CD here. What's your favorite song on this CD?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say the one I'm going to sing today. It's The Sweetest Clock.
That was smart.
Oh,
that was
okay.
really smart.
All right.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. So back to real quickly being in Gibsonia. When are you there? Did you
February 15th
Okay.
at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
We'll be at Steamworks Creative in Gibsonia, PA.
Okay, super excited for that.
Yeah.
What else have you been up to? Anything that we need to know in the last 5 years? Do you want to recap in a minute and a half?
Right, a minute and a half. Let me see. We played also at Club Cafe before we had to say goodbye to Club. We were like the last people.
Yes.
On the south side.
What an honor, huh?
Yeah. I love playing Club Cafe.
Yeah, everyone
and
says that.
It was there for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, the south side.
It has a legacy, just like the Decade and all those places. It had its stories, if those walls could talk.
Yeah.
All right, so Tom, you know that we have a question of the day.
Okay.
And so it's really simple. It's Punxsutawney Phil, fact or fiction? Reminding you, you're in a room full of writers.
Yes.
I feel like this answer is thematic, but go ahead.
Well, I got to take a little bit of a pass because I don't know I know about it, but it just brings to mind Groundhog Day, which was a Bill Murray's film.
That's right.
I remember that.
Right?
So the whole point is when the groundhog sees its shadow,
right,
there's 6 weeks of winter, and when he doesn't, it's spring. It's just a 50-50 coin toss, right? Do you agree?
I got to believe in it because
okay.
I believe in like Casper and
You're a
things.
believer.
I'm pretty easy.
Tom's a believer.
I'm pretty easy to fool.
Okay, I gotcha. Tom, where can everybody find you and follow you?
Oh, I'm on online on YouTube. You can find my videos under YouTube, Tom Kurlander. Also on Facebook, Tom Kurlander Music, and my music videos are also on a variety of other websites. And such.
We're going to hear his song coming up, but first you're going to check out what's going on for the 412 Dues with MadeInPgh's Channing. Check it out, and then Tom's going to perform. You Jagoff Late Night.
What's up, everyone? It's Channing with MadeInPgh, and as you can see, I'm coming at you from a very snowy, beautiful scene of Pittsburgh today with the incline. It is freezing this week, so I wanted to go along with that theme. And I have something very special for you for the 412 Dues this week. You know, at MadeInPgh, we always have our foodies in mind when we are planning our events and things to do around Pittsburgh. And this one is dedicated to our pizza lovers out there. We created a pizza passport. We're really looking forward to bringing this to you guys and for you to grab yours on our website. The tour begins on National Pizza Day, February 9th, and it continues for 6 weeks. We've selected the top 20 pizza shops for you to explore, and you'll get a slice of pizza, and your passport will be stamped at each stop. You have a total of 6 weeks to go to as many as you'd like. These are all over the Pittsburgh region, so you really want to make sure that you check out our map and map out your stops accordingly if you're going out for the weekend. If you want to grab your friends and family and you want to coordinate, make sure you are mapping out your stop so it's convenient for you. And you also want to check out the hours of each pizza shop and be sure that your plans are in place. But you'll go to each stop, you'll scan the QR code and rate each slice of pizza, and you'll also enter to win an Uni pizza oven. So that's super exciting. A few pizza shops to mention that are on our pizza passport are Pizzeria Davide in the Strip District, Police Station Pizza in Ambridge, Della Terra in Zillion Opal, and Benny Fiero's in Southside. So be sure to go to madeinpgh.com/pizza passport to get yours today before we sell out. We hope you guys love this. Please let us know your favorite stop along the way. And that's all I have for you for the 4-1 to-dos this week. Be sure to give us a follow at MadeInPgh on Instagram and follow along on MadeInPgh.com. We love being a resource for you to navigate the city and bring you all things Pittsburgh. And have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Hey, I'm Tom Kurlander. I'm going to do a song live for you today. I'm going to do a song off my latest album. It's called Sugar Burn Sessions, which is available on iTunes and Spotify. This song is called The Sweetest Clock, like the thing on the wall. Tick, tick. Tick, tick, tick. She's getting what I'm saying and listens when I'm playing. She waits till I'm through. It's all she can do. One time to make me feel love like an angel above. She's got the sweetest clock in the world. For the man who's not on time, who changes on a dime. For the man who lost his way. For the soul who's gone astray. She's got the sweetest clock, yeah. She's got the sweetest clock. She's got the sweetest clock in the world. It go like tick, tick, tick. Oh, baby. Tick, tick, tick. Oh, baby. Tick, tick, tick. Oh, baby. Tick, tick, tick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It may be time for me to tell her how it is I feel. Handing me clouds to cover the rain. She may be from somewhere, but somewhere's no pain. She's got the sweetest clock in the world. For the man who's got no match, she got the light, no strings attached. For the man who lost his way. For the soul who's gone astray. She's got the sweetest clock, yeah. She's got the sweetest clock. She's got the sweetest clock in the world. She got all the time you need, and man, I need the time. But she's got the sweetest. She's got the kindest. She's got the sweetest clock in the world. Tick, tick, tick. There you go.
Tom Kurlander, thanks for gracing us with your presence here.
Been too long.
5 Foster Plaza. Make sure you join us on Fridays. Thank you to Johnny, Monica, I did it.
Johnny and Michaela.
And Tracy for pulling this all together. Thank you to Colin Williams for stopping by.
Tim we had him. I think we're going to have him
Right.
come back because we're going to get more out of him.
And thanks to Amber from the Cakery in Westview, because what we plan on is if you're interested in bringing us snacks, listen, we're not above just having you come down and bring the snacks.
Next week is
Or
Grandpa
liquor.
Joe's.
Yeah.
How about that?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. More
I know.
sweets.
Lots of sweets. Thanks for joining us on your Jagoff Late Night.